She didn't know his name. She didn't know his story. All she knew was that he was starving, standing outside a restaurant window in the cold. She gave him food that night, a simple act of kindness. She never expected that years later, he would become a famous chef and spend his life searching for her. Her name was Maya Thompson. She was 23 years old, fresh out of college, working a modest job in a small bookstore just to pay rent. Her life wasn't glamorous, but she was proud of every step she took because she earned it on her own. One cold December evening, after a long shift, Maya treated herself to dinner at a small family restaurant near her apartment. She wasn't rich, far from it, but once a month she allowed herself a warm meal she didn't have to cook. It was snowing lightly outside. People walked by in coats and scarves, rushing home. Maya sat near the window, waiting for her food. That's when she saw him. A young boy, maybe 8 years old, standing outside the glass, face pressed to the window, watching the plates of food pass by. His clothes were thin, his breath fogged the glass, and his eyes were full of hunger. Maya's heart twisted. She looked around the restaurant. People noticed him, but no one did anything. Something inside her refused to ignore him. She stood, walked outside into the cold, and knelt in front of him. "Are you hungry?" she asked softly. The boy hesitated, as if afraid to answer. Then he nodded. "What's your name?" Maya asked. "Lucas," he whispered quietly. She smiled warmly. "Well, Lucas, come inside with me. You're eating tonight." His eyes widened, as if no one had ever spoken to him with such kindness before. Maya brought him into the restaurant and ordered the biggest plate of food they had. When the meal arrived, Lucas didn't even wait. He ate fast, almost too fast. Maya slowed him down gently, giving him water, helping him cut his food, treating him like someone who mattered. Because in her eyes, he did. The restaurant manager approached Maya and whispered, "You know, he's been hanging around here for weeks. People tell him to leave. He doesn't have anyone." Maya looked at Lucas, sitting there quietly, hands shaking as he held his fork. Her heart broke. After he finished, she bought him an extra meal to take with him. Lucas hugged her tightly before leaving, and said something she never forgot. "One day, I'll pay you back." Maya smiled sadly. "You don't owe me anything, sweetheart. Just grow up and be kind to someone else." Lucas nodded, holding his bag of food like treasure, and disappeared into the snowy night. Maya thought she'd never see him again. She was wrong. Life moved on. Years passed. Maya changed jobs, moved apartments, lost loved ones, made new friends, faced heartbreak, and celebrated small victories. But she never forgot that little boy in the snow. Meanwhile, Lucas's life took a different path. He bounced from shelter to shelter, struggling through hunger and cold nights. But one thing kept him going: the kindness of a woman who sat with him inside a warm restaurant and treated him like family. Lucas carried that memory like a light in his darkest moments. As he grew older, he discovered something surprising. He loved cooking. The smell of food, the warmth of the kitchen, the joy it brought people. He practiced at shelters, watched chefs on TV, studied whenever he could. By the time he turned 18, he got a job washing dishes in a small diner. He worked hard,
harder than anyone else. And slowly, the owner noticed.
Lucas moved from dishwasher to prep cook, then to line cook, then assistant chef. Every time he prepared a meal, he remembered Maya and whispered to himself, "One day, I'll find her." But he didn't know her last name. He didn't know where she moved. He didn't even know her age. All he remembered was her warm face and the restaurant by the snowy street. Still, he kept searching. At age 26, Lucas became one of the youngest chefs in the city's rising food scene. Articles called him the chef with a story. He never told them everything, only that he had been saved by a stranger's kindness as a child. And he cooked every dish with that memory. Then, one ordinary afternoon, everything changed. Lucas was preparing meals at a community charity event, something he volunteered for every year, when he looked up and saw a familiar face. A woman stepped into the room, carrying a donation box, hair tucked behind her ears, smile gentle but tired. His breath caught. He knew her. It was her, Maya. A little older, a little calmer, still just as kind. He froze, knife still in his hand, heart pounding so hard he could hear it echo. He whispered, "Maya?" She looked up in confusion, then surprise, then disbelief. "You're Lucas?" she whispered. He nodded, eyes filling. "It's me. You fed me in a restaurant when I had nothing. You saved my life." Maya covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. I never thought I'd see you again," she said, trembling. Lucas stepped forward slowly. "I've been looking for you for years. Every meal I cooked, I thought of you."
Maya laughed softly through tears. "I only bought you dinner." "No," Lucas shook his head. "You gave me hope. You gave me a reason to believe I could grow up and be someone." He took her hand gently. "I wouldn't be a chef today without you." The room fell silent as volunteers around them watched two lives reconnect after years apart. Maya hugged him tightly, the same way he hugged her as a child. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. Lucas smiled with a trembling voice. "I want you to try something." He brought her a plate, a dish he had created himself, the one that made him famous. Warm, comforting, familiar. "This is the meal you bought me the night you saved me," he said. "But better, because now I'm the one cooking it for you." Maya took one bite, and tears fell again. "It's perfect," she whispered. Lucas exhaled shakily as years of searching, years of memories finally came full circle. Then he said the words he'd been waiting years to say. "Thank you, Maya. You didn't just feed a hungry child. You fed the man I became." And from that day forward, they became family, not by blood, but by an act of kindness that changed the course of two lives forever. Because sometimes the smallest dinner becomes a lifelong legacy.